Hello, I'm Jon Sermon. I'm a church leader in the UK, and I'm offering these short videos most days as encouragement to people during the difficult circumstances of coronavirus, the lockdown, and so on. And today I was very struck by the news, sad particularly for the people there, that Leicester has become the first local area in the UK that has had to retighten the loosening lockdown because of a major increase of coronavirus infection in their area. Leicester is a city I know slightly. I worked there for a couple of years, quite a long time ago, when my work at the time was settling insurance claims. Now, here we face the fact that that was necessary. It may prove necessary in other places across our nation, as indeed in other countries, depending how things go. And we need to keep a balance in all of this because the whole situation could paralyze us with fear. Yet on the other hand, many people are overreacting to the newfound freedoms of the loosening lockdown and potentially causing problems as a result. So how can people strike their own balance and be sensible and appropriate and also feel safe? That's a big question, and it's a difficult one. And the reality that none of us can know exactly what the future might hold. None of us can know whether we might contract the virus. Indeed, many of us, myself included, have had an illness since this pandemic that might or might not have been coronavirus. And in my case, testing was not available at the time, so I simply don't know. And even if widespread antibody testing becomes possible, that won't be 100% sure, and I don't know if I'll be able to get the test. And should I find that I do get the test and it confirms it was coronavirus and I have antibodies, still won't know because nobody knows enough how much immunity that would give and for how long. So whether we may have been ill or not, unless we've been ill with a confirmed case and recovered from it, we simply don't know how vulnerable we are. At the same time, we do know that factors such as age, such as being male is a higher risk than female, such as certain ethnic groups seem to have a higher risk than others. Research is still ongoing to find out what all of this means. And in particular, significant advanced age, I mean, I count as old compared to most of you, but there's a lot of people a lot older than I am. That is a big factor, and so are certain pre-existing medical conditions, especially those kinds of illnesses that affect the breathing system. And as the whole of society begins to reopen, what we do or don't engage with, it has to be a sensible decision, just as we as church have to be really careful and sensible about when will we open for worship. And when we do, we have to make sure we've done it with appropriate risk assessments and appropriate precautions. In our case, we're not rushing. We don't know yet when we'll be able to hold gathered worship in the church buildings. But we're working towards it with all the necessary careful preparations. Even when we do, people in our community will have to decide based on their own perception of what risk still remains with all the precautions we take and how vulnerable and particularly at risk they may be as individuals. Some will rightly decide not to come, and this is why we are committed to keeping our ongoing online worship through Zoom throughout as long as it takes, and possibly forever, because this could be the start of permanent changes in how church interacts with community as a whole. And I'm hoping and praying that many younger people, our particular congregations are relatively older people, that many younger people will want to get involved too. And actually, the fact that we do worship online is probably an easier way in for people of my children's generation, for example, who grew up knowing how to handle computers, whereas I'm having to try and learn later in life. And the thing is, by engaging with the life of the church and the life of faith, everyone can come into a position where the uncertainties we face are balanced out by promises of God, assurances of our long-term future in this life and beyond, and therefore reason to be encouraged. I want to continue encouraging you, and in particular, in due course, I'm going to be planning and announcing an opportunity to do an exploration of faith online. We call it the Alpha course. Rather than gathering people in the church building as we always used to do to conduct this, I'm going to be preparing to do it online. Do consider whether you would like to be part of that. And when the detailed information comes out, I'll be putting it out on the Facebook page, on YouTube, through these videos, and through posters and local advertising. When that happens, I'd urge you, consider how you would like to explore with us the bigger things, the bigger meanings of life, because we'd love to help to encourage you more through that. God bless you.